So my grandfather, Charles Clinton Wolfe, child of the Depression, was a soldier in World War II in Europe and North Africa. And decades later, I was at his house one evening, and I was still pretty young at the time. And he told me that he'd almost not come back from the war. Now, since my mother was born after the war, I wouldn't be here if that had happened, so I paid particularly close attention to his story. And as I remember, the story went something like this. So he and his men were in combat in Europe with German forces, and at one point he found himself isolated. He was facing a German soldier, a German officer, who fired upon him and hit him in the chest. And my grandfather was knocked to the ground while one of his friends was able to take out the German soldier. My grandfather couldn't breathe. He thought he was going to die. But when his friend came over to check on him, they found that the bullet from the German gun had actually hit him in the pocket of his uniform, the same pocket that held a small Bible that had been given to him before he left home. And the bullet had gone all the way through the Bible and through the metal cover on the Bible, which had apparently slowed it down enough for it to come to rest in a pack of Wrigley's Tea-Berry gum. So my grandfather was bruised for a long time afterwards, but he was alive and was able to come home. Now, after I finished the story, decades later, he showed me the Bible with the hole all the way through it. And my response, and again, I was pretty young at the time, I asked him where the gum was. He laughed and said that he had chewed it somewhere in Germany. The thing about my grandfather is, after he came back from World War II, he had this insatiable thirst for knowledge and learning and reading, and that all combined together in just this profound interest in history, both in terms of the large-scale studies of nations and peoples, but also in the intensely personal process of genealogical research, of tracking down our family's ancestors. And one of my fondest childhood memories, which took place not long after I heard the story of him nearly being killed, is that of finding the previously unfound gravestone of one of Grandpa's great-great-great-grandfathers. And my grandfather ran over to me, he picked me up, and he spun me around, laughing throughout. It was a moment in which I was proud, and I was excited, and I was overcome. Not many families hang out in old graveyards, but ours did, and I don't think it was in a creepy way. In fact, I think it's pretty safe to say that my fate as a professional historian was sealed that day in that West Virginia cemetery, and that evening around the same time, listening to my grandfather tell me the story about the German bullet and the Wrigley's Tea-Berry